Why do we worry? Does worry bring anything good to us? Does worry increase our life? Does worry make things better? I had to ask myself that the other day because I was thinking about some things and I was like, oh, how can I control this? How can I control that? Truth is that we don't have any control. We can just do the best we can. And it made me think about a story about worry. And, my brother had problems and we were with chemical abuse and things like that. And we were thinking, oh my God, he's going to pass away and we're going to get the call and he's going to be gone. And he was a brother who's 3 years younger than me. Someone said, I heard this minister say, worry, instead of taking that time and worry, pray. And what would happen if you would pray? And, I was like, I'll try it. Because whether I, had faith that things were going to change, when I would pray or I would think about that, I had to surrender that I couldn't control it. My brother lived in another state. I lived in Florida. He lived in Chicago. I had no control over what was going to happen to him. So anyway, every time I would start to think, oh my God, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, I would just say a little prayer. And what happened was one day, I was in my office and I was, working as a legal recruiter. And I got this thought. It said, call your brother and tell your brother he should come here to Jacksonville so that he could get sober. And I was like, no, he had just really made us, the family, angry. I had talked family members into giving him some money so that he could get his truck out of the pond and whatever. But he ended up spending that on more chemicals. And then he told us something that wasn't true. So after that happened, I said, okay, I'm really angry with him, whatever. So now I'm getting this thought to call him and tell him to come here in the city that I live in to get sober. And I thought that doesn't make any sense. So what happened was I went back to work and I just that was a crazy thought. And then the next day around the same time of the day, I got this thought, a really strong feeling in here, call your brother. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm angry with him. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to call him. The third day, it came even stronger. And then I just said, okay. So I called my brother and I said, I want to tell you that if you ever want to get sober, that there's a place here. There are places here in Jacksonville where you can get sober. And I didn't even have the words out my mouth. And he said, I'm ready. And I was like, really? And I didn't really know of a place for him to go. So I went and I, called someone and I said, my brother, blah, 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 blah. Could you tell me a place where he might come down here and get sober? Well, they didn't get back to me. I think I left a message. And so a couple of weeks went by. My brother called me and he said, I thought you said there was somewhere that I could come and get sober. I was like, oh, he really wants to. So I got in my car. It was lunchtime and I went over and I went to this place and I said, my brother really needs to come here because if he doesn't get here, he's going to die. And they were like, oh, we don't bring people from out of the state. He lives in Chicago. But anyway, I sat there and they sat there with me. And then they said, have your brother write a letter and tell us why we should make an exception and let him come here to Florida. So I told my brother to do that. And in a couple of weeks, he had written 2 letters. Which one do you think would be the better letter? I have to say he had the best penmanship. I wish I had the kind of penmanship he had. Anyway, they told me the place where to get sober said, get him a round trip ticket and bring him here and we'll meet with him and we'll interview him. If we think that we can help him, we'll bring him in. And if not, take him back to the airport. So I picked him up. And when I picked him up, I just was in tears. He was like skin and bones. He had everything he owned in a bag. And took him there to the sober facility. And my brother was there and he was telling him, how well he was doing, which he wasn't. And tears were just rolling down my cheek because I was like so sad to see him in that condition. Long story short, they took my brother in. Long story short, my brother was sober for 13 years. Long story short, my brother helped more people get sober. And he set such an example. And he started meetings and he helped people and he sponsored people. And even despite, he had really been unkind to his body. And so he ended up losing his leg. He ended up losing an eye. He went blind in one eye. And then he was in a wheelchair. But he never, ever, ever used again. And he helped people until when he passed away. And he passed away a few years ago. That's a perfect example of when you kind of stop worrying and you let go, that things happen. I mean, I could not in my wildest dream have imagined that my brother would have gotten sober. You know, 30 years he was using really hard things. And there's no way I thought he would be here in the same town that I lived in, helping people and making a reputation for himself. So what does this have to do with you? This has to do with, are you worrying? What are you worrying about? Are you worrying about your finances? Are you worrying about your law practice? Are you worried about your family? Are you worried about your aging parents? Are you worried about your kids? Are you worried about your college debt? Whatever you're worrying about, worry does nothing. It doesn't move the dial. It doesn't move it closer or further. You know, however that looks for you. You don't have to be religious. Just if you could just have a little faith and have a little trust and just kind of let it go. That's your choice. Worry, or let it go. And when you let go, it's amazing the miracles that will happen. So I really, really want you to stop worrying. There's nothing that happens, nothing good to your health, to your mental, nothing good happens for your mental, your physical, or your emotional health. So stay tuned, subscribe at the bottom, and know that if you have a little bit of faith, it can go a long way towards your success. And I'll see you soon.